Hey friends, we're in for an exciting podcast today. We start off with naked bikers in Portland, the pervert capital of America. Things just get crazier and crazier. If that didn't catch your attention, we're also going to talk about the Attorney General's race in Virginia, where the Attorney General is actually advocating the political assassination of his opponent. Crazy. But we hope Virginians do not elect this guy to office. And then let's talk about some really awesome things. Well, let me go back. We're going to talk about the Biden administration's weaponization of a host of government agencies, and I hope it gets you fired up. Then we got California going back to mask mandates. That should get you fired up. But what should really get you fired up is, how about some good news? We end with the President Trump and the peace agreement between Israel and the Palestinians. Some great reunions that are happening from folks that have been literally living underground for the last 2 years under Hamas oppression. So good things happening in the world. You're not going to want to miss this podcast.
Hey, welcome to the Ron Johnson Discipleship Podcast.
I'm glad you clarified that. This is not the Charlie Kirk Show. This is not some fancy, highfalutin, big budget podcast. This is the Ron Johnson Discipleship Podcast, and we are breaking in. This is our maiden voyage on our brand new temporary studio.
Yeah, brand new temporary studio. I walked in here. I thought I was in a different world.
I know. I had to lead you over here. Matthew, I told Pastor Andrew, hey, we're in the new studio today. He goes, where's that at? He didn't even know where
I was walking toward his office. Yeah, I knew you'd been working on it. I didn't know where it was, even though, my market share meeting is like 2 doors down. I just never looked in. And then I didn't realize how awesome this place looked. I mean, big
Incredible.
problem. I'm going to give him the slow clap. The slow clap.
High fives for Matthew. All right. Yeah, this is incredible.
It looks amazing here.
And he showed me we got these fancy lights. You can change them to different colors. So who knows what color we're going to be in next week.
I got to update my wardrobe or something like that. I'm unworthy of the room.
One disclaimer, though. Matthew did say that he hopes everything actually works today for the podcast. This is our maiden voyage, so the ship might sink, but I'm believing for better things.
Yeah, it's going to be
amazing. If this ship sinks, we'll just resurrect another one. So it's not a big deal. Hey, lots of stuff's been happening. I've been so excited and so proud of our team. Of course, we were able to host the Turning Point event. Too many points around here.
Flashpoint.
The Flashpoint event. And I was so appreciative of Gene Bailey being with us on our last podcast. Yeah. Got a lot of great feedback from that. But we met lots of amazing friends through that event, and I'm excited about where that's going to lead in terms of some cross-pollination, between our ministry and their ministry. And then, of course, this last weekend, hosting the Band of Brothers, we had over 500 men. That was a powerful, inspirational time. And again, just incredible. And then here we are on Monday after a wonderfully busy weekend. Yeah. But a lot of great things happening here at our church, and glad that you guys are a part of it. Appreciate your feedback too. There's not a week that goes by that someone's not encouraging us on this podcast. So we do encourage you to share this with your friends. We want to talk about things that are going on in our culture that are important, and we certainly want to apply a biblical understanding to those things. I just want to start off with something that's just absolutely crazy. I'm kind of throwing you a little curveball here, but I'm leading with the most crazy news headline that I've heard in a long time. Hundreds of protesters, including Antifa members, clashed with federal agents outside of Portland's ICE facility over the last weekend. At least a dozen arrests for disorderly conduct, road blockages, etc. But there were some special guests at this event, not just your normal anarchist kind of thugs. We had nude cyclists from the World Naked Bike Ride, who staged, this is just unbelievable, who staged on the Burnside Bridge to protest migrant deaths in custody and oppose Donald Trump's immigration policies. They had pictures of this in full display on X, and I've never seen more white, middle-aged, naked guys riding bicycles in public. I'm thinking, where are the police? And since when is it okay for perverts and pedophiles to ride their bikes naked through the city where there's women and children present. And somehow we feel like this is like cool avant-garde social justice. I mean, this is just unbelievable. And it wasn't just like one or two of them. It's like this is like mass psychosis. What in the world would cause a man? First of all, every time I ride a bike for any length of distance, right, I'm a little sore down there. I can't imagine riding a bike with my genitals hanging out. I mean, are you kidding me? And I just don't know how. Number one, we have this many crazy people that are just out of mentally insane. But number two, why there's no response from government. I think Portland's like the pedophile capital of America right now. Like, those people have lost their minds in large numbers. And I'm grateful that we're finally sending in troops to kind of take over the city, because the leaders there certainly aren't leading, and we have the inmates running the city. But that took the cake for me. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, you actually didn't catch me by surprise, because one of my ex feed actually share a short clip of that. They call it a die-in.
Yes.
Okay? Instead of a sit-in or whatever, it's a die-in to protest ICE. And a couple of thoughts on that. One is I think Portland has laws that allows you to walk around naked, I believe. So it's technically not against the law of either the state or the city. I don't know. But the second thing, what it reminded me of, it reminded me of pagan rituals. Not that I'm so familiar with pagan rituals, but based on what I read, some stuff in the past, it reminded me of like religious exercises by pagans. Yeah. That's what they did. That was the
like
first
a pagan parade.
Pagan parade, like that's their religious ceremony. And again, like you hear me say this all the time, like everything we do, all the politics is really religious in nature. So for me, when I saw just a quick glance of what they were doing on the bridge, they're dying, they're naked, and they're just, they're chanting something together or saying something together. It was just like, to me, it seemed like a religious ceremony.
Yeah.
And I think there's a different spirit to that. So once again, I'm reminded that we are in the spiritual warfare. There are things going on that it's invisible, but it's super real. What we saw in that clip was a physical manifestation of what's going on in the invisible realm. That's how I saw it.
And it gives us an indication of how absolutely perverted hell is. And to see again this public display, it was just crazy, and it's nonsensical. I mean, they're promoting migrant deaths. I'm thinking, what migrant deaths are you talking about? We could certainly talk about a lot of innocent citizens who have been murdered by illegals who are in this country, but I'm not sure what they're talking about. And it's amazing to me again that the left is protesting the activities of this administration to bring safety to our community so that people can actually walk the streets at night. People can actually go about their lives without worrying about being raped, pillaged, murdered. As you said, it's religious in nature because it defies reason and rationality. It's an ideology that's taken root. But again, I don't know how anybody in Portland allows for this stuff to happen. I mean, it's outrageous. If I was trying to raise kids in Portland, I think I'd have to move. I mean, what are you going to do with stuff like this unless you just have a long-term plan to uproot all of the craziness that's been embedded in that city? Anyway, we do say this though: those on the side of truth, if we persevere long enough, we win, and evil is exposed. And we saw that once again this past week as the Trump Department of Justice task force uncovered systematic anti-Christian bias in the Biden administration. I just want to remind our listeners of some of these things because it was like week after week we saw these attacks that were happening against Christians, all right? We saw here, first of all, the labeling of radical traditionalist Catholics as domestic terrorism threats, leading to suggestions of church infiltration. We had the DOJ's selective enforcement of the FACE Act, arresting pro-life Christians, including a man by the name of Paul Vaughn, who was raided at gunpoint for simply praying outside of an abortion clinic, while at the same time, they ignored all the attacks that were taking place on pregnancy centers. Then we had the EEOC's interpretation of laws to mandate abortion coverage and gender ideology compliance, which was a massive infringement on Christian beliefs about life and sexuality. We had the HHS threatening to defund a Catholic hospital over a sanctuary candle. The DOD denying COVID-19 vaccine exemptions to Christian service members like Navy SEALs. You remember this. You had a lot of our armed forces who were saying, you know what, I don't feel comfortable receiving that vaccine. And they said, tough. If you don't get vaccinated, you don't get the COVID jab, you're out. And so a lot of our patriots, and that's really who they were targeting, because they knew that the people who would resist this were people who, in good conscience, did not trust the government and did not trust this vaccine. So there was a purge of a lot of conservative patriots from our armed forces. How about this one? We had HUD removing Christian holiday posts from social media while they promoted Pride Month. So you couldn't put a Christmas greeting or an Easter greeting, but if you had something about Pride Month, that was okay. How about this one? HUD employees' complaints revealed denied promotions for displaying Bibles. They mocked Christians for holiday observances. The report commits to investigations, policy reversals, and equal enforcement, with agencies like DOJ dismissing pending FACE cases and the SBA lifting bans on aid to religious organizations. Critics hail it as exposing leftist power grabs, tying into broader concerns over government corruption and the erosion of religious liberty in a post-2024 America. So, again, we saw that go on and on and on during the Biden administration. And now finally, as they've delved into that, all this is coming to the light. And I hope, as we're talking about this, I hope this creates a sense of anger in our listeners. Like, we never want to go back to that. I mean, those were egregious religious liberty violations that are finally being exposed right now. And I say, praise God for that. Because again, this was serious, serious business, the weaponization of all these agencies against people of faith. And anybody that is concerned about religious liberty, especially Christian folks, should be up in arms and really demanding justice over this.
For me, the biggest concern is because these are all behind the scenes, we wouldn't know about this if the Harris campaign had won.
Absolutely. We'd be having more of the same.
More of the same. But each of these issues you just mentioned, if it went to the Supreme Court, or maybe not even the Supreme Court, to even some of the circuit courts, federal courts, it's clearly a First Amendment violation.
Absolutely.
But because people don't even know about it, it's all done behind the scenes, you couldn't even sue against these policies. So that's what makes it so devious, because it's all behind the scene. And they're like, oh, we're not targeting people. We're not targeting people. So my question is, how do we even, knowing this now, how do we make sure that this never happens again? My question to the Trump administration is, how do we make sure that there's true transparency, that when this stuff happens, that we can go to the courts immediately, and then the courts can strike this down, hopefully.
Well, and this to me is an argument like, folks, we are truly in a war. And if you care about religious liberty and you care about your Second Amendment rights to actually defend yourself, and you care about justice, like, we have got to make sure certain people with certain ideologies, certain understanding about government, and hopefully Christian people, and we need to get more and more people running for office. But this is why it is absolutely insane for the church to stick its head in the sand and pretend like we should not be involved in government. This actually leads to the trampling of our ability to preach the gospel. And we cannot just pretend like, oh, I'm just going to, preach the gospel of Jesus Christ and get people saved. I'm not going to worry about all that other kind of stuff. You can deny it long enough and keep your head in the sand. Eventually, though, it's coming to your house, and it's going to impact you and your ability to speak, and your children and their future. So I'm just, saying loudly and clearly, we're in a battle, and it's really time for everybody to get engaged as much as possible. So this is crazy, but let's talk about crazy in Virginia. And when Flashpoint was here, they were helping us to know what's at stake, in Virginia, which is where you hail from. So what's happening there? This is unbelievable, by the way.
Yeah, this affects me very personally because my family are in Virginia right now. And so right now there's a race. The current governor,
Winston
Youngkin.
Oh, yeah, Youngkin.
Youngkin he can't run anymore. So it's between the governor race between Winston Sears.
Winston Sears, who is a Black American conservative, Holy Ghost filled Christian. She's a veteran. She's articulate. She's a firebrand against a deeply entrenched liberal leftist, Spannenberg.
Well, the real controversy comes out in the Attorney General race. So the person on the Democrat side running for Attorney General, his name's Jay Jones. So you guys probably heard this. It's all over the news. He sent a text in August 2022, and basically he fantasized about killing his political opponent, which I think was then the Speaker of the House, the State House, Tom Gilbert. I'm going to summarize. I won't read the whole thing, but basically he said in text message, which we all can see, if I had 2 bullets, and I have Gilbert, Hitler, and Pol Pot, I would shoot Gilbert twice. And then, and this just wasn't just like a jokey kind of thing, because then there was a conversation, and basically a person who's texting back who's a Republican. So you're texting this to a Republican, okay? You're not talking to your wife. You're talking to a Republican.
Well, the fact that you would take the time to actually put those deranged thoughts into writing,
right,
and make it public is nuts.
And then they had a conversation, I'm understanding. And then later, after the conversation, basically she was just kind of, whoever the Republican who actually got a text was kind of like, hey, don't talk like this. And then later he came back and texted something like, I want his kids to die in their mother's arm. And what's most troubling about this is this wasn't just some angry rant, a drunken rant or something like that, which is bad enough. But like you said, there was premeditation. There was thoughtfulness behind it. Even later, when he was challenged by it, he didn't recoil from it. Instead, he leaned into it. And this person is supposed to be the top attorney, top cop, law enforcement officer for the state of Virginia. Unbelievable in my mind. I can't even. If Jay Jones, who was winning the polls before, I don't think he is now, if he were to win the Attorney General, what this says about not just Virginia, what it says about the United States of America, what it says about Constitution, what it says about who we are, what religion we practice, our moral depravity in the United States is unprecedented, in my opinion. And I don't think I'm being partisan about this. I can be biased. I can be partisan.
There should be certain things, at least there used to be, that are so egregious, so outlandish, so immoral that you dropped your party label and you said, okay, that's wrong. I'll use a football example. Anybody that was watching the Monday or the Sunday night football game between the Chiefs and the Lions, one of the players on the Lions was very, very disrespectful at the end of the game and basically caused a fracas, just bad sportsmanship, totally unacceptable. And so it's a picture to me of the Democrats and Republicans today. So what did the head coach of the Lions do? Well, if he's the typical Democrat today, he'd be making excuses as to why that happened, and he'd be blaming the opposing team. But that's not what the head coach of the Lions did. He came out boldly and said, you know what? That behavior is unacceptable. The player knows it's unacceptable. This will not be allowed. This is not our culture. We're better than this. I mean, that's what the governor candidate Spannenberg should have said in the debate is, you know what? This is terrible speech. This is what's leading to political violence in America. This is unacceptable. That's what normal people do. But when you're hidden behind your ideological, towers and your blindness, you cannot even condemn that person's, wicked behavior. It says something about the left. All right, it says something about what drives them. Because in this debate, Winston Sears turned to I think her name is Virginia Spannenberg, and simply said, "Are you going to, whatever the word,
not endorse,
denounce, your candidate,
Jones,
this person's behavior, and are you going to call that is wicked and unacceptable, especially after we've just had a murder, assassination of Charlie Kirk? Are you going to boldly come against that, or are you not?" And she stood there all smug, while Winston Sears is asking her question after question, what are you going to do? What are you going to say? And she just said, I'm going to let the people of Virginia decide, one of those kind of politically correct comments, which again, just absolutely undermines her credibility as a candidate as well. This is sick stuff. And to think again, as you said, that this would be the top candidate that they would have in the state of Virginia, home of Thomas Jefferson,
George Washington.
It's unbelievable.
Unbelievable. And again, this text was sent in 2022. Okay. The erosion of civility and the elevation of political violence, okay, has cascaded to the assassination of Charlie Kirk. So all those people who are just saying, hey, this is both sides, okay.
It's not both sides.
I can't imagine a Republican or a conservative saying this type of verbiage. Not even now. I'm talking about 2 years ago. So if it's bad 2 years ago, where is it today for Jay Jones? Saying that but say it with such boldness.
Right.
Say it with such candor, like, I don't really care. This is how I feel. Just the guts to be able to say, it's one thing if you think it, and the one thing that you feel like it's so acceptable that I can just say it to my political opponent, texting this
and not blush about it. When you're compared with two communist dictators who are responsible for the slaughter of millions of people, and you put your political opponent's name in that category and dehumanize that person by association, again, it's just shocking.
Well, my fear is everyone says, we need to dial down the political rhetoric and the violence and all these different things. Okay, stop saying things. Do something, okay? Young people, impressionable people, mentally unbalanced people don't look at what you say, they look at what you do. So if Jay Jones actually elected, that endorsement of political violence, I believe, will open even more doors. Again, This is a religious battle. Like, if you don't think a spiritual battle, this is a battle between the good and evil. So if you don't see this and you see it as just politics as usual, then I don't know what to tell you, because, what else do we need to have? We need more political assassination. We need more people advocating for free speech getting assassinated. At what point do we step in? So this, to me, is a stress test in not just Virginia, but really rest of the country, to me. I don't know. I'm a little fired up about it because I just could not comprehend. I couldn't believe it when I saw this. And I can't believe this guy he's lower down the polls, but to me, he should be at like 2% support.
Right.
I don't get it, because people they see the immediate. They don't see what happens afterwards. If he wins, what's going to open the door to?
Oh yeah, if he wins, are you kidding me? This is the person that's the top law enforcement person who just advocated this assassination of his opponent. This is like communist stuff. This is sicko.
Yeah, then why should anyone obey laws? Why should people refrain from murder when or at least threats online? People just gonna throw threats all over online then.
Yeah. It's crazy, but we'll see. When is that election? Do you know?
Early November.
Oh, so that's coming up the first week in November.
So you got the New Jersey governor race, you got the Virginia governor race, a couple other races, I believe, crucial races.
And if this is not crazy enough, talk about going back in time. I thought this was interesting. We've got the return of mask mandates, and of course, blue states. And this was a wealthy blue state county in California. Good old Governor Newsom. Anybody that would elect that guy into any position, I know the left is trying to promote him as the next, president.
Candidate.
I'm thinking, just look at what he's done to the state of California. But now we're mandating face coverings in indoor spaces amid a reported uptick in respiratory illnesses, despite widespread opposition from conservatives viewing it as an overreach. Now, we've already determined from the last episode that those masks basically do nothing. They're actually counterproductive because you're breathing in your own exhale. You're exhaling and breathing it in. It does not help you. And we talked about the tininess of those viruses to permeate the mask. So it's just purely it's almost like a political mascot, the mask. It's like what we wear when we're on the left, when we love government to be our nanny and to care for everything. I love what one of the assembly members said, the GOP leaders, this is about control, not health. Leftists never let a crisis go to waste. This mandate is effective immediately. It affects schools, businesses, healthcare facilities. And again, it's like deja vu. It's like the nightmare, coming back. So I don't know. What's your thought on that?
Well, this is my thought on Newsom. Newsom is, for the next 3 years, Newsom, in my opinion, is no longer governor of California. Next 3 years, he's running for president. So I think everything he's doing right now is strategically trying to place himself to win first in the primaries, and then he's going to position. So he's positioning left right now. All the stuff he's doing, he's trying to fight the redistrict. He's trying to redistrict California, even more gerrymander California, even more than it's already been gerrymandered. All these different things he's saying, these memes he's putting out to try to counter Trump's, is because he wants to be seen as the counter of Donald Trump. Now, I don't understand how anyone could think he would win the general election, because everyone else looks at California. They say, we don't want that. However, where is Newsom going to go? He can't run for governor anymore. They have a whole other hilarious race in California governor race coming up for that. So there is really no place for him to go. So he is positioning himself to become the next Democratic candidate to run for president. And if you see through those lenses in which he's trying to please the base at the same, and later he's going to reposition himself to the center if he wins the nomination, then all of this makes sense. This is not really about making California better.
No.
He got three long years he's going to be working on this. So if you see it through those lenses, it's going to make a lot more sense.
God help us for the next 3 years.
Well, help California. Because there's a lot of good people in California.
No, I'm saying I need personal help, because I don't want to see this idiot on national television any more than I have to. Lord help us. Let's talk about another thing that's happened that's really, really exciting, and that is happening even as we speak. Our president is in Israel. He just recently addressed the Knesset, the Parliament of Israel. Of course, we're talking about brokering a peace deal over there, which is amazing. And I love how well he was received. Trump has been an incredible friend of Israel. And it says here that the Israeli Knesset declared him as, quote, the greatest friend of Israel ever had in the White House. Knesset Speaker Amir Ohana vowed to rally with House Speaker Mike Johnson and other legislative leaders across the globe to submit Trump's candidacy for the Nobel Peace Prize in 2026. Now, just to backtrack a little bit before we go on with this, the Nobel Peace Prize was given to a Venezuelan opposition leader who was fighting against the corrupt Maduro regime in Venezuela. She's a wonderful person, but she gets it. I mean, Trump was snubbed because this group tends to lean left.
We don't give to people without integrity and courage. I think that was the quote. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that the Nobel Peace Prize Committee said that as a snub.
Unbelievable. But she gets it.
Yeah.
She said, and I believe she's a Christian, we are living through a spiritual fight between good and evil. And she praised Trump's recognition of the dictatorship as, quote, a criminal network tied to drug cartels and terrorists. And she went on to basically say thank you for this award, but she pointed the credibility for this to Donald Trump and his leadership and calling out what's really going on here. So anyway, that was interesting. But the fact that Donald Trump has not already been awarded a Nobel Peace Prize when he has brokered peace deals all across the world already is absolutely insane. It cheapens the prize, because what it says is we're really not giving it to the person who's most deserving. This prize in and of itself is a political prize as well. Which is disgusting.
It's one of those cases in which everybody knows who deserves that prize. Everybody knows it. Every common sense person knows it. And out of just this pettiness, they say we just cannot give it to Trump. And the irony is the person they give it to is reasonable enough to recognize that Trump should have gotten the Nobel Peace Prize.
The winner, instead of glorifying and her leadership and all that, which was great, and we certainly applaud.
No, we like her, but again, who has broken more peace? It's just not even comparable.
So this is what Ohana said. He said, "You, President Trump, are a colossus."
This is back to the
Knesset. Yeah,
Knesset.
back to what's going on in Israel right now.
Yeah.
They said, "You're a colossus who will be enshrined in the pantheon of history. Thousands of years from now, the Jewish people will remember you." And he says, "We are a nation that remembers." He compared Trump to Cyrus the Great, who conquered Babylon in 539 BC and allowed the Jewish people to return to their homeland. He hailed Trump's efforts to rescue hostages held by Hamas, as well as combat Iran's nuclear power program, and his influence across the Middle East. He also praised Trump for moving the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem back in 2018. So, again, I agree. Trump has been a massive friend to Israel, as I believe America should be. And it's great that they're praising him the way that they are and recognizing his incredible contribution. I don't know the details of that peace treaty. I know some have said that they didn't agree with it all. But, the nature of treaties is there's compromise, which means nobody's ever fully happy with everything. But I'll tell you who's happy is all those parents who are welcoming their children home that have been in captivity for 2 years now. And we saw some of those powerful videos.
You and I saw the clip in which the family of the waiting for the hostages, can you imagine your loved ones, your son, your daughter, your wife, your parents, 2 years in the enemy camp? And
they talked about the one guy that he's been in there for 2 years, and he has a 3-year-old child who has very few memories of her dad because he's been gone for the last 2 years. I can't imagine having to be reacquainted with my own offspring, just tragic.
But they gathered in a room on the phone, talking to President Trump and just sharing their thankfulness for what he has done. I've been reading a little bit of commentary into not the negotiation itself, because the decree itself, because I wasn't reading to that, but just the process to get to this type of agreement. And the commentary, even from people who oppose Trump, people who have negotiated in the past, they basically says Donald Trump, love or hate him, he has the will to push this through. When everyone else was about to give up, he just won't. And he kept pushing for and pushing for and pushing for. He has Steve Witkoff, I believe, and Jared Kushner, who's his son-in-law, I believe. These are real estate people. I was talking to you about this earlier.
Yeah.
These professional diplomats couldn't do what these real estate moguls, which all they do is negotiate. And these guys negotiate this deal to, at the very minimal, bring the hostage into we're recording on a Monday, and the hostage, I believe, are released on Monday. And hopefully opens the door to lasting peace and stability in that region. So it was just very interesting to me, because I think a lot of times people don't like Donald Trump because he has that will. He just pushes through. He says what he thinks. He doesn't really care what people think of him. And sometimes it could come off being very abrasive, and I will resonate with that sometimes. Sometimes I'm just like, oh, he just doesn't care. But other times, man, do you need someone who just has that indomitable will to just push through when everyone else says that's too hard, we can't do it, and he just won't give up. And I appreciate him for that.
Yeah, it seems like our American culture has grown so comfortable with just effeminate manhood with politicians. Politicians don't get hardly anything done because they're always focused on their next election. That's why it's amazing to me that probably the most politically effective president we've ever had in terms of getting things done is a businessman.
Yep.
He understands the real world. He understands how the world operates. He's not on some ideological ivory tower. And yet, like we're seeing legitimate force used to restore order and to fight lawlessness with some of these Antifa knuckleheads that are doing stupid things, spitting in officers' faces and blocking cars and all that stuff. And you're seeing some physical force where people are being thrown to the ground, handcuffs put on them. I'm like, yay, finally a parenting class that they should have had years ago about understanding authority and honoring authority. But I appreciate strong leadership, because in a world with real enemies and real people and real nations who hate your guts and are trying to destroy your country, you need someone that's not afraid to stand. And they call this, fascist behavior or whatever, it's like he's not being a fascist. He is simply restoring order and peace, and he's doing it through legal and necessary means. So I applaud everything that he's doing, but it amazes me at how just soft as a nation that we have gotten, that we don't understand good and evil anymore. And a lot of this goes back to biblical worldview. We've lost our understanding of the world through a biblical lens. And when you read the Bible, you clearly understand that there is evil and there is good, and the battle between the two. And you understand the importance, for instance, of why you have to have biblical law saying, you know what, we're not allowing grown men on bicycles to ride naked through our streets. Like, no, that's perverted. The only way that you can call that perverted is if you have a biblical worldview. Otherwise, it's cool, or it's the latest thing, or I don't know what you want to call it. I would not want to ride on that bicycle, though, after one of those naked guys is riding around the city. So my point is, even for it's a health crisis, if anything. But you can't even call that like evil unless you have a biblical worldview.
Well, I think you bring a good point. I think one of the reasons why we have lost that strong leadership, the strength to execute, is because when everything becomes very gray. Now, don't get me wrong. There are nuances. There are nuances of life.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, there is transcendent truth that's black or white. It's either true or it's false. At the end of the day, on the highest level, there is this transcendent truth. And when we have lost that transcendent sense of truth, God, transcendent God who oversees everything and he determines what's right and wrong, like that basic understanding, the end result is we cannot be strong on anything. We cannot speak strongly. We cannot dictate anything. And the only people who are strong are the criminals. The people who are strong are the corrupt. The only people who are strong are those people who says, my gun's bigger than your gun.
Exactly.
Therefore, I'm going to bully you. Those people become strong. So transcendent truth actually allows normal people, reasonable people to be strong because we're backed up by the truth. And that's what I think we're seeing executing our country today. And people call that fascism. But really is a alignment to the fact that there is good, there is evil, there's truth, and there's lies in this world.
Absolutely.
And that's changing our culture. And we need that in our culture now more than ever.
Absolutely. A big hearty amen. So, Matthew, the ship sailed.
We're recording. We're good.
We made it. We made it into the harbor. And that means there's going to be lots more voyages. And when you see Matthew, give him a big hug. Also, did you see the video that he did, the recap video from Bob?
Oh, you did the recap video?
Oh, my word.
Oh, my goodness.
So here's the deal.
How did you get that done?
Wasn't that incredible?
It was incredible. And I couldn't believe how fast you did it.
And what amazes me, that's just it. There you got this timeline. You're trying to take all these little snippets and weave them into a story. And I'm like, that guy is awesome. And he's on our staff. High five on that one.
Well, and the Roar, the Global War video.
Yeah.
Amazing Global War video too. So
great job.
Are those on our YouTube? Can people see that on our channel? So just go see it. Just
to borrow
give
a
yourself
line
a gift.
from Rush Limbaugh, talent on loan from God.
There you
That's
go.
all I got to say.
Yeah.
So in memory of Rush, we close this podcast today. And thank you guys for joining us. We will see you next Thursday with I'm sure, more naked bicycle stories to talk about.